Hello, it's Carron and Rob from Unfiltered, and we like to talk about life and love and relationships and parenting and all sorts of things that come up in daily life. So it's great if you want to join these conversations. And tonight we thought we would talk about
the hidden costs of being too nice, which was a random topic recommended to us to talk about.
but I think it's quite relevant, particularly.
It is quite relevant. I just have no idea what to say, or no idea what my opinion is on that, but we'll find out. So please join us. Grab a glass of wine, prosecco, whatever you want. Tea, if that's more your thing. And tonight we're gonna cook
Sichuan chicken. Some variation of
some
it.
kind of spicy, velvety chicken with rice and lots of garlic and lots of onions and lots of spicy and
Lots of chopping for Rob.
lots of chopping.
Because Rob loves
Feeling
chopping.
Chopping.
In a chopping mood.
I mean, it's very
Always
much
in a chopping mood.
so. Very much so.
I mean, I think the quote that immediately sprung to mind when I saw that topic was Brené Brown and her famous quote where she says, "Clear is kind, unclear is unkind."
Oh, a very good one, yeah.
And I think that there is so much truth in that. And I think that so often we try to keep people happy, in the short term. And so we tell them what we think they want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And long term, you just land up either disappointing them or not being able to fulfill something, or being in a situation where that's nothing close to the reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in particular in relationships.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like myself, if you're a people pleaser from your foundational character trait, character type, it's easy to forego the clarity and rather try to give people an opinion that you think they might want to hear, right?
Or like making them happy.
Yeah, make them happy. Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. So what do you get in the short term out of making somebody happy?
Well, there's several components to it. I think there's one intrinsic, one extrinsic component for sure. But I think if you're the kind of person who tries to please people, I believe that first of all there is a genuine willingness or striving to make people to not hurt people, to please people.
So it comes from something good.
To keep them happy. So it comes from something good. It's not that you're trying to manipulate people. And also, so that's the one perspective. The other perspective certainly is that you trying to avoid conflict. Right? And that's probably the bigger or the more important part, where in essence it's about not giving other people any kind of attack surface, right? Because clarity often means that you might hurt someone's feelings, you might get a negative reaction or an emotional reaction to something.
Or you might not be able to realistically give them what you think they want,
or you may exactly right. And so it's sometimes easier to keep things a little bit, obscure, not give you a true opinion, not give them the clarity that they might need, so that they deserve, because I think everyone deserves clarity. And instead, you just you kind of you dance around the topic, right? So you're not.
So give me an example.
Well, in the past, I've had many situations in my private life, but also in business life, where I knew that if I make a certain statement or if I talk in a certain way, it's going to cause some sort of reaction, right? It might be disappointment, might be some sort of aggressive counter reaction of some sort. Might be the beginning of a longer discussion, of a very conflict-ridden discussion, and where I would, instead of being clear, almost like change the subject or just avoid the subject altogether.
Okay.
And that works. It works surprisingly well, right? Because if you're avoiding these conversations, the hard conversations, first of all, you're not having these conflicts, and second of all, oftentimes you're being perceived as actually a very nice person, very easy to deal with, right? There's not someone who's always speaking up, not someone who's always
difficult.
Yeah, and so it's definitely people have a more positive reaction initially, I would say, right?
And why only initially?
Yeah, because then also what this can and often will lead to eventually is that if you're avoiding the clarity, you're just burying...
Like postponing the inevitable.
Postponing the inevitable, exactly. That's a nice way to put it, right? So it's you're not addressing the underlying issue, you're not addressing the conflict or the analysis of the situation or the clarity, right? And that's that in many cases then long term causes a whole sort of its own problems.
Do you think that sometimes you assume that you know what the other person wants to hear or doesn't want to hear, and based on your own assumptions, you make certain decisions around what to say or not say, or what to do or not do?
No, of course. That therein lies one of the problems, because you always make assumptions about what you believe the other person wants to hear or doesn't want to hear, or what you believe would hurt the other person or would aggravate the other person. But it's not verified, right? It's just your opinion.
Your assumption. No.
Your assumption.
No.
And so that in itself is problematic, right? Because who are you to judge other people?
Or to assume other things about other people's expectations or what you think that they want, etc. And do you think that there's a chance that sometimes, if one just had the guts to say it like it is, or explain it like it is, right from the get-go, it's also about managing people's expectations, right? Where they, you're very clear about what, I'm just thinking in a business context, right? What is or isn't possible, what can be done in a certain deadline. I think ultimately probably creates a lot less conflict when there's clarity from the get-go, right?
Oh yeah, and I came to the conclusion particularly in the last few years, that's clarity is preferable. It might be the option which can potentially cause a bit more pain, whatever kind, in the short term. But long term, it's the better solution for everyone involved, right? It's better for you because you don't need to pretend, you don't need to assume, you don't need to live with consequences that you think you might have that wouldn't even exist potentially, right?
Yeah.
And the other person just gets the clarity of knowing what's happening, right?
So let's think of like a real world scenario, right? Where, for example, maybe you are talking about delivering a certain result, right? In a business context. And it's like perhaps you know that realistically this is going to take you a month to execute on to the level that is requested, expected, desired, right? And you know that nobody's really going to be happy about it taking a month, but that's just realistically how long it's going to take, right? And at the same time, there's part of you that kind of goes, okay, well, maybe we can get it done in 3 weeks. But everybody wants it done in 1 week.
Yeah, but then that's clearly the case where if you would be clear about the situation, then yes, this could potentially be met with some sort of resistance, like, oh no, we need to get this done earlier, and we can't take it that long, or whatever it is. But then also, especially in a business context, from a perspective of resource planning, from a perspective of having realistic assumptions, from a perspective of having all the decisions that would potentially follow that, timeline, time frame. It's actually quite unfair to say, hey, no, you're giving unrealistic expectations to be kind.
Yeah.
If you fully know that actually, no, it's not going to happen in X amount of time.
So it's like unkind to your team members, right?
It's unkind to team members, yes.
Yeah.
Because then also what this might then cause is, well, once everyone realizes that actually that clarity was missing, and then I would go as far as to say in this case it's like a blatant lie if you know it's not going to happen, then that will certainly cause additional stress on some or all of the people who are involved.
Yeah. And which is ultimately going to lead to resentment, and most likely, if you promise to deliver when you know you can't deliver, it's probably just going to lead to people then being disappointed, angry.
Yeah, exactly.
Unhappy with you. Onions are making me cry.
Yeah.
That's why I leave the onion chopping to you, Miller. Because you like crying.
Shopping's fine.
Even just peeling them is like crazy. Oh, these are potent ones.
Yeah.
They're particularly more potent than usual.
Could be. Yeah. Seem quite fresh.
Oh, maybe that's why.
Yeah, maybe in to give another example, probably where most people feel it's way more is in the context of a relationship, right? If you drag on with a relationship for, let me put it this way: if you were in a relationship which definitely is past its prime, and it's quite clear that that relationship will not continue, you could be very clear about it and go through the pain. Yeah, of course, because it's always when we end relationships, there's some sort of pain involved, for sure. But rip the band-aid off at once, right? So it's like, okay, well, here's the situation. It's not going to work out. Let's end this now. Whereas if you keep dragging on with the relationship, and whereas if you maybe avoid a discussion, or if you just create a situation where you have like false hope or whatever, then should I cut it too?
Yeah, thanks.
Then you're also keeping the other person, for example, from finding a new partner, or from changing the life situation, whatever it is. So yeah, in that case, the clarity is, I think, very, very important, and then also it's almost like unfair to not be clear about.
Never try and put gloves on wet hands. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it's amazing. Shit.
What?
Actually wants to chop these into
Like longer strings.
longer strings, yeah.
We run out of, is it the last of the, how many chilies do we need? This seems like quite a lot.
It's like 2 or 3.
Okay.
It's only going to be us.
But I think it's so interesting, like where we are, particularly when one's socialized to be kind, right? And to, it's almost like a habit, to, especially I think in relationships. I think in business, one is maybe more aware of the consequences, right? And you kind of, you only have to live through those experiences a couple of times to realize that actually it's just better to just be realistic and to be upfront right from the beginning. But I think in relationships and in those kind of situations, it does feel easier in the short term to avoid the hard conversations and to just pretend, or to tell the person what they want to hear or what you think they want to hear, rather than being clear.
Yeah, and then, and as I said initially, right, there's several reasons for it. So one thing is really a genuine sense of, I don't want to hurt the other person.
Hurt this person.
Yeah. But then the other part is, I want to avoid the conflicts for my own well-being, or for my own purpose, right? And clearly, like I in my personal life, I was always someone who tried to avoid any kind of conflict as much as possible, simply because of the way I grew up, where I was exposed to a lot of conflict, where I was exposed to a lot of blame or attacks in my childhood, right? And so avoiding conflict for me was a mechanism to protect myself, right?
Like a survival mechanism.
Exactly, right. Yeah.
How do you want them? Even thinner?
Even thinner, that's it.
Okay, I'll finally chop them.
Right, and so in that case, it's the avoidance of clarity means avoidance of conflict, means avoidance of pain.
In the short term.
In the short term. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Because oftentimes in the long term, it actually has the opposite effect, right? Because it's more pain, because it's more suffering, more conflicts, prolonged conflicts, right? So it's not really a good long-term strategy. So that's why I think it's such a great quote from Brené Brown. Because
I think of it so often, right? So
yeah, because it's as she said, like it's unkind.
Actually, it's unkind. It's unkind to you. It's unkind to the other person. It's really not kind to anybody.
No, absolutely.
It's a nice video already. Oh, wow. Where did the 3 minutes go? So how do you think one can recognize when one is being unclear and that that's ultimately unkind?
I mean, like, honestly, I think if you're being unclear, in most cases, I would say you know very well that you're unclear. Right?
It's like you get little signals, like part of your brain's going, that's not quite true.
Yeah.
I'm saying that, but I don't really mean it.
Or like, oh, like I really don't feel like having this discussion right now, right? So I think you know exactly what's, or you know intuitively when you're not being clear.
Do you think it ties into being authentic?
Oh, absolutely. Because authenticity also means clarity, right? Authenticity also means standing in for something and then risking to be in conflicts more often, risking to be confrontational more often, risking to be rejected to be more often. But yeah, ultimately it is about clarity.
Yeah, it's so interesting because it's... And do you think it's the same as being truthful?
The same. What is about being truthful?
Like authenticity.
No, because you can be truthful without being authentic. Like if I'm with you and I'm hiding my real character and I'm hiding what I really think, it doesn't mean that I need to lie to you. I can make factual statements all day long
That are truthful.
that are truthful.
But you're
I'm just
being
not telling
authentic
you.
yourself.
I'm just not telling you what I really think. So I'm just being authentic in that sense.
Oh.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Unfiltered.
Okay, my love.
Hello, good.
My love, do you think that that chicken's been marinating for long enough in the soda?
How long have we?
I don't know. I'm just amazed at how quickly the rice got cooked. How long does it usually need?
20 minutes.
Was it 20? Okay, I don't think it's been 20. What's you looking for?
Spicy. Spicy.
Do you want your Tahitian? There's that.
Let's see. Potentially, yes. Yeah, there was nothing. Let me make like a little sauce here.
Bye, guys.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Mia. Love you, my angel. It's so interesting because actually, I think in my previous relationship, I think he was very truthful, but I never had a sense of what he was really thinking. So the facts would be the truth.
Yeah. But it wasn't. That didn't feel authentic.
Not even that he didn't feel authentic. I just had, yeah, I guess I just never felt like I saw his authentic self. Like I don't, and I don't know that I showed him my authentic self. I think he did get glimpses of it, but bless you.
Ah, thank you.
Bless you.
Ah, Jesus.
Oh, what else needs to go in that saucepan?
Some little rice wine. Just going to flush out that.
What's that?
Just trying to you get the most out of the oyster sauce, yeah?
Yeah, smart. I think it might be another one downstairs, actually.
I know, but still, it's like...
Yeah, just to let you know. By the way, if you want to print something, you've got to kind of... I don't know how you...
Yeah, I
originally...
was lazy to download it, and
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, okay, well, I can...
Can I close here? No. I can't. Can I close here?
Yeah.
And so, but what about the balance between being authentic and at the same time not burdening somebody? Like maybe you're super stressed about something and you don't want to burden your partner with the stress that you experience. You don't want to sort of bring that stress home, right? So how do you balance that, for example? Or you want to be authentic with your children, but at the same time you don't want to tell them about the fact that your relationship is falling apart with their mother, or how do you balance those things?
Well, it kind of comes back to short-term versus long-term effects of avoiding clarity, right? Because if you're not in a good relationship with your partner and there's kids involved, so what is better, what is kinder to the kids, to just drag on for 5 years or 10 years and
pretend like everything's fine.
Pretend like everything is fine, because the kids they do understand if something's not going well, right? So they're not stupid. Or you say, look, here's the situation, here's the clarity, here's how we're gonna solve it. Here's how we're gonna hear you as kids. But then, make the cuts quick and maybe painful, but definitely less painful than in the long run.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a really tough one.
Yeah. I mean, of course, it's a really tough one. But again, like, what do you? Is it kind to pretend, like, or in your partnership, right? If you say you don't want to stress your partner with whatever issue that you might have, right? Is it better, because if you're in a good relationship, I'm pretty sure your partner will also feel that something is off, right?
Yeah,
and you're gonna take home whatever issues you have, right? And so is it better to maybe even give your partner that feeling that you're not telling the truth, or you're hiding something, or the problems may be bigger than they might actually be, or just say, look, here's the problem we have, right? Yes, it sucks, but here are the options. Here's what I've been trying to do. Here's what we should try to do. Here's whatever it is. But then at least it's like, okay, well, we can deal with it, right? Because
and deal with it together, right?
And you can deal with it together, exactly right. Because then also that's if you're not addressing it, you cannot deal with it. And maybe your partner has a solution. And oftentimes, actually, my personal experience, I thought, no, Jesus, like, I cannot tell anyone about that because it's so catastrophic. And then you talk to people, and then you're like, well, actually, it's not that bad. Like, here's the solution for it. You never had thought about it, or I can help you, or
I went through the same.
Oh, I went through the same, exactly.
Yeah. And survived.
Yeah.
And what if you've got a partner who kind of tends to catastrophize, or tends to sort of make a big deal out of that kind of thing? You don't feel like you can share that burden?
That's first and foremost the problem of having the wrong partner. No, but really, I would say it's still the same argument, because if you have a partner that tends to catastrophize, then
probably the longer you leave,
they will do so anyway, right? They will catastrophize.
Yeah.
Catastrophize? Is that right? Yeah. They will do so if they sense that something is off. They will do it, right?
True.
And so they might catastrophize, on their own, but they'll probably do it anyway, right? Whereas if you just say, look, okay, here's what this, and then it's like a catastrophe, but then at least it's a catastrophe. Again, like it's happening at once. And yeah, you can deal with it. You can move on to the next stage. Although, of course, in reality, it's not that easy. Knowing from my personal experience that, yes, then it's not that every partner will say, okay, well, thanks for telling me. Let's talk about this rationally.
Yeah.
You might quite clearly get into a position where then you also need to deal with the problem and the catastrophizing.
And, or the blaming, or the
blaming,
shaming, or the the other stuff that comes with it, right?
I mean, let's look at it from the other perspective. Did you ever encounter any situation in your life where you say, in hindsight, it was better to not be clear than to kind of avoid the consequences than to just say, well, okay, I'll be clear, I might hurt someone, I might have some consequences, but then in the long run it's going to be better or worse?
I honestly can't think of a situation where it's been better for me to not be clear. I don't know. I think it's... I remember hearing that term probably 10 years ago, and it just stuck with me. And I really do try to live by that. I think sometimes maybe... I'm certainly selective about who I tell what, so it's not that I'm sharing everything with everybody, it's just, but it's contextual. It's like where it's necessary. And I think it just, if it just kind of becomes a style of communication or the way you are, people kind of expect that. And then it's just accepted. And it's from little tiny things all the way up to big relationship things. I mean, I think there was one area where, where my relationship with my ex-husband was, had just wasn't fulfilling for either of us. And we decided, we had made the decision to, that we would separate. But, because there was no fighting and no conflict, our children never ever had any inkling that they never had any inkling that something was wrong.
Yeah.
And so when we did tell them, it was an absolute shock to them.
Of course, it came out of nowhere. Right?
Yeah, it came out of nowhere, and it just completely blindsided them. And they were absolutely devastated. It wasn't a case of like, oh, mom and dad have been fighting for so long. Thank God they have decided they're going to separate. It wasn't that at all. It was like their world fell apart. And in a way, I don't know, maybe it would have been a little bit easier to deal with if they'd seen some of that conflict and seen some of that disconnect between the two of us. I mean, that trauma and that heartache was actually short-lived, and it was very quickly resolved. I think once they realized that we were still going to be friends and that we were still that it wasn't going to be acrimonious, and that once they could see that their worlds were not going to be too disrupted,
or like too dramatically.
yeah, it wasn't going to be toxic, right? I think once they could understand that, then they very quickly settled down. But yeah, it was an interesting case of kind of almost sheltering the kids from that, and how that really didn't make it any easier for them. But having said that, it also was in the short term, and I don't think that it would have been helpful for them to see us fighting or to see us being horrible to each other. I mean, that also wouldn't have been helpful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a difficult one where you want to protect people that you love from bad news, or I don't think it's always easy. I think it takes a lot of bravery to live like that.
Living like that means, in this case,
to always be authentic and to always be clear. It's almost like a code that you've got to live by.
Good. Okay.
And from that.
Yeah, but so coming back to that discussion, do you think in hindsight, was it a case of clarity or not, or being not clear?
I think we just were looking to protect our children from what was going on. Right? So, so I mean, it's a little bit of a rupture and repair thing as well. Which is what we were talking about last week. There was a very definite rupture in their world, but it was quite quickly repaired. So I don't know that I would change it or do something different, but certainly that was one example of where it was a complete shock because they didn't see it coming, right?
Okay.
And I don't know that it's necessarily the same thing as what we're talking about where, this is about communication and also about I think it goes back to the whole thing around expectations, right? So if you are clear in the way you communicate, and it's also about helping to manage other people's expectations, right? So because if you're clear about what you can deliver or what's possible or what you're going to do or all of those things, then you manage the other person's expectations, and then you don't disappoint them. So I think it's kind of more in the context of that.
But do you think, I mean, you could still disappoint someone. You can still disappoint someone with the clarity.
You absolutely could, yeah.
So just being clear doesn't necessarily mean you're avoiding all disappointments.
Yeah, and you're certainly not avoiding all conflict.
No, exactly, right.
Yeah. I mean, did you ever have a situation where you wished somebody hadn't been clearer with you? Hadn't been as
Someone
clear
had
with
not been clear with
Yeah.
me. No, not that I can think of, because in most cases, whether, and this is true for the business context, but also for my personal life. If I had known certain things earlier, then at least it would have given me the possibility to change and adapt the situation, or to react to a situation. And oftentimes, when it's too late to learn about something, then it's also too late to make a change, right? So
True. And in a personal context?
It's the same thing. Like if anything, I wish that someone would have told me earlier, right? Because in most cases, people tend to.
Can't?
No, looking at my private life, a lot of the Jesus. A lot of the, let's say, personal dramas that have unfolded, whether it's with friends or whether it's with my former marriage or whatever, would have been avoided with more clarity, right? So it would have been more painful short term, probably yes. And I wouldn't even say maybe not even more painful, but it would have been unexpectedly painful. Maybe that's the right term. But the cumulative pain was certainly. Sorry. But cumulative pain would certainly would have been much less. So.
I think the conclusion is that Claire is kind, even if it feels a little cruel in the short term. I think there might be a feeling like this is difficult, or this is hard, or this is. In the short term, it maybe feels a bit uncomfortable, even just uncomfortable. But in the long run, it's way less painful. And I think it helps so much in terms of managing somebody else's expectations, and everybody then understands the framework within which things are operating. And I think it definitely forms part of authenticity. So yeah, I think it's a good code to live by.
Oh, absolutely,
Kind, unclear
absolutely.
is unkind. Wow.
Yeah, and I have to say, ever since, because you were the one that I heard this from first.
I stole it from Brené Brown. It's definitely not my quote.
I'm not saying you invented it, but I heard it from you for the first time. So, I definitely think it's making that more of. Not saying that I'm always successful in following that, but at least I've become more conscious about it, and I try to live by it more than I was in the past. And that certainly
it's almost like getting permission to not always be the nice person, because it's like that realization that that supposed kindness and that supposed being nice, always doing what you think other people want or need, or etc., or always being the nice guy. The reality is that you don't always. It's not always serving people or serving their best interests, or definitely not serving your best interests.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a little bit of permission to kind of go. In the short term, I think we've all been socialized to believe that we should always be kind, but I think the reality that clear is kind, unclear is unkind is. It's like a wisdom, right? So yeah, I think it's a good one to live by.
I think we actually get stuck on the clarity parts and not talked about being nice. But yeah, we'll leave it here. Delicious?
It's really good.
Very good. All right, it's time to eat.
Thanks for joining us.
Listening, and we'll see you next time.
Ciao. Bye.
Bye-bye.
That's so good, man. So glad we made so much. So glad we made so much.